welcome to Week 9 NFL Survivor Pool Picks, hosted by Luke Reimer, once again presented by Flurry Sports. I'm here to give you a couple options for your Week 9 Survivor Pool picks. If you've been following me so far, you've been winning some money, you've been staying alive in your Survivor Pool, and I'm here to make sure that that continues to ride this week. We're coming off of a week that wasn't really, I guess, say it wasn't really a lot of fun watching, I guess, as a casual watcher, right? Fantasy football, there's some big performances. In terms of betting, there's some performances, but really came down to one game that was decided by single digits, that being the Jets Bengals, that um, not a lot of people really cared about, to say the least. But this week, we have a lot of matchups. We have a lot of good matchups this week. I'm giving you three picks as always. I'm giving you my lock of the week. I'm giving you my value pick of the week, and I am giving you my high risk, high reward pick of the week. With that being said, let's start as we always do with the high risk, high reward pick of the week. The high risk, high reward pick of the week, of course, is the pick of a bad team who has a good matchup. That if you take them, you're probably the only person in your pool to take them. And if you do take this team, this is probably going to be the only time you can take this team. And I'm going to guess that nobody else is going to take this team. So that hence the name high risk, high reward. It's a high risk, it's a bad team, it's a high reward because you get to check off a team that probably nobody else is going to check off the rest of the year. With that being said, let's take a quick look here at some of the games. There's not really many games that really speak to you about that. Um, I've been this to take the team that plays the Jets. The Jets are on bye this week, so there's nothing really crazy going on. No really easy pick, I should say. With that being said, I'm looking at this Jaguars Raiders game right here. Now the Jaguars started off 4-3, but since that 4-3, since that hot start of the year, Jaguars kind of cooled off a little bit. That offense is really or that rushing offense, which Travis Etienne was kind of saying like, "Hey, I'm still here." That's kind of cooled off. I think they kind of get back on track this week against the Raiders team. That is really bad. I think Jacksonville should be able to get to Geno Smith and be able to rush the passer well in this game. The Raiders' offensive line might be the worst in the NFL. If not, it's definitely a bottom three offensive line. Really, all the Jaguars need to do is kind of to stop that Ashton Genty rushing attack. If that's the case, Geno Smith is going to struggle. While the Jaguars haven't been great against the pass, they have been able to create turnovers, and we know that Geno Smith is going to turn the ball over. I've said that Geno Smith is a good quarterback. Take away the turnovers. I guess you can say that for every quarterback. Um, but Geno has not really limited those turnovers. Jaguars should be able to take the ball away a couple times in this game, setting that offense up for some success. As far as the Raiders go on the defensive side of the ball, if you're looking at what are the Jaguars doing on offense, it's not that it really scares you. Um, Max Crosby is with the storyline surrounding him. Max Crosby should be able to be taken care of in this game. Really, that's all that the Jaguars really need to try to stop, right? And he's playing injured with knee, with back problems. Travis Etienne should be able to get the rush game back going, which really helps Trevor Lawrence settle in. And as we've seen, if Trevor Lawrence can settle in, I mean, he's got Brian Thomas, he's got Travis Hunter. He's got some weapons that should be able to get behind this Raiders defense and be able to cause some problems. We've seen Travis Hunter kind of come to his own a little bit as of recently in the past game, and I'm going to continue to ride that because I like Travis Hunter. I think he's a good player. I'm giving the Jaguars to beat the Raiders this week in your high risk, high reward pick of the week. Our next pick of the week is going to be our value pick of the week. That's a middle level team going up against a good matchup. And I'm taking kind of a cheater pick on this one. I'm going Thursday night. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens over the Miami Dolphins. Now, the storyline here, right, is Lamar Jackson's back with Baltimore. Baltimore has not been very good without Lamar Jackson. 2-5 is not what the Ravens are. Like the Ravens are definitely a team that should always be among the elites with Lamar Jackson, with this team construction. But I'm putting them into the value pick this week because we really haven't seen them with Lamar Jackson now in a little bit. I don't think that the Ravens are a bad team with Lamar Jackson. Again, I said I'm kind of cheating on this. We haven't seen Lamar Jackson. Maybe there's a hiccup or two. Either way, Baltimore should be able to run the ball all over Miami in this game. Um, Miami's not a very good rush defense. I don't. Atlanta had an odd game plan where they were passing and they couldn't keep the passes, and then they were running when they shouldn't have been running, and the run game wasn't working. I think the Ravens kind of continue to get back on track here. This really feels like a Derrick Henry 175-yard game in my mind. I know that's a lot, but if there's anybody in the league who can get that, it is Derrick Henry. I don't think Lamar Jackson necessarily runs a lot in this game just because he's come back from injury, and there's no reason for really the Ravens to get him out and to get him rushing. Um, but like I said, Derrick Henry can kind of control that offense by himself in this one, which is set up a Lamar Jackson to be able to hit, the flurry of tight ends and Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kohler caught a touchdown last week. But Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins, like the Ravens have a bunch of weapons to be able to attack this Miami defense. And I know Tua was coming off a good week last week with 4 touchdowns. Um, but as we've seen this year, like Tua has played some really bad football. Miami's played some really bad football. I think this is definitely a letdown game after a big win last week. I'm not expecting another 4 touchdown performance from Tua, especially without Tyreek Hill. If you're going to say that Malik Washington is going to step up as a really solid wide receiver for Miami, I would say you're crazy. I like Malik Washington. He's definitely not wide receiver two material. And if my so realistically, Baltimore should be able to take Jalen Waddle in this game and make Malik Washington beat them, which again in my mind is something that I don't think he's capable of doing. I like Devon Achane, but outside of Achane, there's not really many things that scare you offensively or defensively for Miami. So give me Baltimore to get back into the win column again to get their third win of the year and continue that trajectory that hole that they dug themselves in. They're going to be climbing out for a playoff spot, and I think that continues this week with the Miami Dolphins getting a win. Finally, my lock of the week. My lock of the week is the team that I am taking in my survivor pool. It's the team that you're taking in your survivor pool. It's the team that we're taking in our survivor pool. It's the team that we are taking to collectively stay alive in our survivor pool. And I'm looking at this game right here, the Los Angeles Chargers and the Tennessee Titans. Chargers played good last week. They kind of slaughtered the Vikings as we saw the return of Joe Alt, which was in a big step up for the Chargers offensive line, who was really struggling. Um, with Joe Alt being there, that showed that it could give Justin Herbert just that extra second of time to complete passes, where he was able to kind of tear apart that Brian Flores defense in Minnesota. I think that's similar this week. Like the Titans have a worse defense than Minnesota, so passing should not be an issue in this game. I also think the Chargers can run the ball well with both Kamani Vidal and Hassan Haskins, which should be able to take somewhat of a load off of Justin Herbert's back. Now, I don't necessarily know that the Chargers want to do that, given Justin Herbert, how good of a quarterback he is. But when you look at those receiving weapons, I mean, you have Keenan Allen, you have Quentin Johnson, you have Ladd McConkey, you have Rhonda Gadsden, Will Disley. You have the running backs, like I mentioned. Like there are a lot of weapons on this Chargers offense. I kind of feel like they go under the radar, just given that nobody's really that superstar. But when you're going up against the 1-7 Titans, who should be 0-8, it's going to be way too many players for the Titans to stop. And when you look at the Titans, like Cam Ward's had some ups and downs this year, right? But that offensive line continues to struggle. We see Cam Ward kind of have to play hero football, and as in your ninth start of your career, it's still hard for me to believe that he's going to win a game playing backyard football. Khalil Mack should tee off in this game. Derwin James should be able to kind of lurk back there and get interceptions, as there are going to be 50-50 balls thrown up like Cam Ward, like he's done all year long. Outside, looking at this Titans offense, Tajay Spears has played well in the receiving game, but a lot of that feels like it's been due to Tennessee just playing from behind and Cam Ward getting easy passes. Nothing that really scares you in this receiving core. I mean, Chimere Dike, Ali Manar, no, like that doesn't move the needle. And you look at does Calvin Ridley play this week? If he does, again, Kind of feels like he's a shell of his former self. Like again, there's nothing that really scares you in the Titans. They're probably the worst team in the NFL right there, right down there with the Jets. So the Titans are going to be in contention for the number one pick. I understand winning this game, like right, you're in the NFL to win the game, but the Titans don't really need to win here. In fact, they're probably more excited about getting a high draft pick this year. With that being said, give me the Chargers, double-digit point favorites. This feels like the Chargers get up to 6-3 and continue to stay atop that really tough AFC West. With that being said, those are my three picks of the week. Just a recap: I am taking the Jacksonville Jaguars to beat the Las Vegas Raiders in your high-risk, high-reward pick. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens as a cheater pick to beat the Miami Dolphins in the value pick of the week, and then I am taking the Los Angeles Chargers to beat the Tennessee Titans in your lock of the week. Thanks, everyone, and I will see you again next week. Peace.
Fuck yeah!